U.S. Space Force in action. The new space weapons making America unseen and unstoppable. The U.S. Space Force is close to deploying two new high-tech space weapons systems designed to jam Chinese and Russian spy satellites, according to a Bloomberg report citing new Space Force data. The systems, known as Meadowlands and the Remote Modular Terminal, are part of a growing U.S. effort to protect American forces from foreign surveillance and interference in orbit, Bloomberg reported. According to the Space Force, this new weapon can be dispersed globally and operated remotely, giving U.S. forces greater flexibility to counter what military leaders describe as a rapidly expanding Chinese space threat. The newly emerging battleground is not merely land, air, or sea. It is space, and in that domain, the United States is refusing to yield. With the newly reported deployment of advanced satellite jamming systems by the United States Space Force, America is writing a new chapter in its military history, one in which it will remain unseen, unstoppable, and unyielding. Recent intelligence reveals that adversaries such as People's Republic of China now operate over 1,100 satellites, including more than 500 used for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. This video charts how this threat has matured, how America is responding with tech and doctrine, and why this matters not just for the military, but for every citizen of this great nation. In the vast theater of space, adversaries have been quietly moving pieces, satellites, lasers, jammers, all aimed at undermining America's ability to project power and defend its interests. China's so-called kill web of satellites and sensors has been characterized by senior U.S. officers as one of the greatest threats facing space operations. According to recent reports, China has over 1,189 satellites in orbit and more than 510 intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance (ISR) platforms capable of tracking U.S. aircraft carriers, expeditionary forces, and air wings. Russia, too, has advanced its counter-space arsenal with kinetic anti-satellite weapons and jamming capabilities to preserve freedom of movement in space for our forces while denying the same to our adversaries. Our military must see the high frontier for what it truly is, a domain of war. The stakes. If enemy satellites can see or jam American forces, if communications or navigation links are severed, then the advantage shifts and the safety and security of Americans at home and abroad could be compromised. The dawn of America's new space weapons. In response to the looming threat from Russia and China, the U.S. has moved beyond talking about space dominance to building it. According to multiple recent sources, two new offensive counter-space weapons systems, codenamed Meadowlands and Remote Modular Terminal, are nearing fielding. Meadowlands, developed by L3Harris Technologies, had faced technical delays, but is now in final live-fire testing and mission rehearsal phases, expected to be operational this fiscal year. RMT, built by CACI International Inc. and Northstrat Inc., is already in limited use overseas and can be operated remotely from dispersed locations. These two systems will join the earlier ground-based counter-communications system Jammer to give the U.S. 3 publicly acknowledged counter-space jammers. These weapons are game-changers, ground-based jammers with global reach and remote control, designed to blind or disrupt adversary satellites temporarily, cutting off their eyes and ears when it matters most. The age of being passive in orbit is over. What makes these new systems especially powerful is their design: remote, global, agile. Reports highlight that the Meadowlands and RMT jammers will be dispersed worldwide and operated remotely. No need to ship massive hardware in crisis, you simply connect and activate. This provides a decisive strategic advantage. When a carrier strike group is operating in the Indo-Pacific and an adversary satellite tries to track it, the U.S. can respond by jamming that satellite from thousands of miles away in real time. When crews in orbit, sensors on the ground, or comms channels are attacked, these jammers are the counterpunch. That agility flips the script. Rather than satellites being untouchable sentinels, they become vulnerable assets for the adversary. For the U.S., this means freedom of movement, surprise, and deterrence. For the adversary, it means risk, exposure, uncertainty. The message is clear. American forces will not be passively watched. They will act, and the watchers will be watched themselves. Why it matters to every American. Some might ask, what does this have to do with me here on Earth? The answer, Everything, from the aircraft carrier that patrols the Pacific, to the soldier deployed abroad, to the GPS signal guiding your smartphone, space infrastructure supports our daily lives, our economy, our national defense. If adversaries can jam, spoof, or destroy those links, the result could range from military defeat to economic disruption to a drop in the standard of living for American families. By deploying these advanced jammers, the Space Force ensures that American freedom, airplanes, ships, troops, citizens, remains undergirded by unshakable protection. It means when the president orders forces into harm's way, they are not going blind. It means when America pledges to defend an ally, adversary satellites cannot silently track every move. This is patriotic defense, safeguarding every American, every community, every free citizen from threats not just looming on land but orbiting above. The battle ahead, challenges and commitment. The road to space dominance is not without challenges. For one, the Space Force acknowledges it remains critically unfunded to meet this full spectrum of missions. Also, deploying jammers, dangerous as they are, must be balanced with diplomatic norms, treaty obligations, and the risk of escalation in space. Further, adversaries will respond and adapt, satellites will be hardened, countermeasures developed, training, doctrine, resilience will matter. A recent Mitchell Institute report emphasizes that the most flexible system the U.S. can launch might still be the human being, highlighting the need for dynamic operations, upgradable assets, and human decision-makers in orbit. But the commitment is there. America is doubling down. From new jammers to resilient navigation and timing architectures, the blueprint is clear. Defend the heavens so that freedom on Earth endures. America unseen and unstoppable. Patriotism demands more than banners and speeches. It demands readiness. It demands that when a threat arises, America doesn't flinch. With these new systems, the Space Force ensures that America's hand remains unseen, but its will remains unstoppable. Imagine adversary satellites attempting to lock onto a U.S. carrier. Suddenly, their imagery goes dark, their communications fade, their intelligence is cut. That's not science fiction. That's Meadowlands and RMT entering service. That's America refusing to be watched while watching. That's deterrence. That's freedom in action. The American taxpayer, the American family, the American service member, they all gain from this unseen shield. We invest in tools, not to dominate for the sake of dominance, but to secure the peace for next generations. We build these weapons not for aggression, but for preservation. We deploy them not to conquer, but to defend. And in defending our nation, we defend the very ideals that make America great. As the stars wheel overhead and satellites silently traverse the heavens, remember this: the peace we enjoy is not by accident. It is defended by men and women who stand watch in the dark, who build the tools that let our nation sleep soundly. The Space Force Guardians carry a solemn oath, not just to fly high, but to shield all Americans. Today we stand at a threshold. The era of passive orbit watchers is over. The era of active remote global space defense has begun. To our servicemen and servicewomen, to the engineers, the program managers, the ground station crews, to every American who believes in freedom, thank you. When Meadowlands hums to life, when an RMT terminal leaps into action, when an adversary satellite goes suddenly blind, that is America's might. That is America's promise. Let the flag of our republic wave high. Let our guardians patrol the heavens. Because when America stands unseen, we also stand unstoppable. The shield is raised, the horizon is clear, and the land of the free remains safe, strong, and secure.